kinda tilted. The foundation is strong because Jehovah built it. You can feel the spirit and positive energy. Questions asked comfortably like you're talking with family. Get ready to settle in. Wait for the show to begin. Invite a couple of friends. It's time for Unhinged.
I introduce to you Get You Home Towing, a family company with the sole purpose to get you home. Whether you need roadside assistance or transport services, we have a flatbed big enough to transport any vehicle to its destination. Our offer to you is our gratitude and great service at a much cheaper price. We are also open to transport through long distances. If you need us, all you have to do is call that number. I'll see you soon.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Y'all all right? I mean, what's really going on? Thank you so much for tuning in. You are tuned in to Unhinged Live. I'm your host, Nikita Tilted Halo Hansford, and I'm sitting alongside my good girlfriend, Karen Sims Harrell, Coach Cash herself of Twisted Threads LLC. And you already saw me start the show off with a shoulder shimmy and shake, because you know, we got a groovy show scheduled for you all tonight. And you know, I'm going to go ahead and get into the show rundown because I'm so absolutely excited for tonight's conversation. But before we get into the rundown, I got to say, what's up, girl, to my bestie, my business partner extraordinaire, my goal coach, the one that knows how to speak life to me in a way that none other can, Coach Cash. Karen, how you doing, girl?
I am doing well. Can I just say that? Definitely been a good day. Glad to see some sunshine over the last couple of days because, child, I know we're going to get into it, but these raining, it's pouring days, woo, child, they truly have been a little bit draining because, you know, I'm solar powered. I need the sunshine to kind of keep it moving and whatnot. And it gives us a wonderful opportunity to kind of make sure we're getting replenished, you know, so we get our vitamin D, make sure that our skin is right, but also, yeah, that our energy is up. So I might have a little bit more energy. I got my step counter, keep still getting my steps in, okay, still getting our 10,000 goal. And yeah, I'm a little lighter these days. So I'm super excited to like keep on going. Let me check behind me. My background partner's still here though. No matter, you know, I think I'm losing weight in my pinky. But my background partner's still here. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Listen, Gertha. Yeah, Gertha back here living large and in charge herself. But you ain't even asked me about her, did you? My bad.
You know how these conversations go. You know, for those of you who are tuning in, I promise you all get to see our real life conversations. We have these discussions offline and then on the air. And, you know, our offline, that ain't none of your business because some of the stuff,
we have to reserve that for after dark.
That part, or the statutes of limitations have not yet run out, so we got to keep them where they are. So now I got to switch it over to you, Tilted. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. You know, I skipped my after work nap today because I had to have a conversation with a friend who means a lot to me. So I made sure, you know, I let them know that by sacrificing sleep. So anybody who knows me knows if I give up my little nap time, you got to understand that I am under the direct instruction of the Holy Spirit himself, or I really, really care about you. All right. Yeah. As you say, listen, I'm sun deprived, and I legit had a conversation with a coworker today about how I'm just tired since they done took the sunshine away from me.
I get it.
You know how many weeks I spent laying in the sun on your random sandy beach location, and then all of a sudden the sun is gone. So I'm very mindful of my energy level because, you know, I'm a tropical people. I need something on this melanin to keep it super powered. I need to stay charged up.
Yes.
So I'm actually considering getting some of those special light bulbs to place, especially in my bedroom and here in the office where I spend the most of my time in the house, because I need to stay a high energy, especially for the next 2 weeks we've got scheduled, Karen. Ooh, child, you tired thinking about it? I am too. But check it out. I don't want to belabor the house.
I got to pack. That's all I'm going to say right now. And I have to pack. That's all. I'm not giving it all away. I'm not giving it all away yet.
Not yet. We got a whole show. We can get it in. But check it out. Again, thank you to each and every one of you who are tuned in on tonight. We are Unhinged Live. I want to go ahead and familiarize you all with what's going on tonight's show, because again, Karen, the sun is gone, but I promise you I see somebody out there on that porch right now.
And you already know. Hold on.
We got to represent.
Yeah, they
got to represent. So listen.
They out there.
Listen, we're going to get into our super fan shout out. Of course, you're going to have... Listen, you're gonna hear a wonderful interview on tonight with our guest, friend to the show. He's family, y'all. Yes. And then of course we're gonna have a wonderful musical break by someone else that we hold dear to our hearts. We're gonna get into a little bit of a view from the petty pew, perhaps, and of course get into that roundtable conversation. What's really going on? So look, can I get that drum roll real quick so we can do this super fan shout out?
Let's get it, huh? You know I got to get to it. You know I'll be all over.
It's all good. It's all good.
We got it.
Listen, I got to put both palms down on my desk to contain my joy.
Yes.
And giving this shout out on this evening. We say her name, every single part of her name, because her name is powerful. We say her name. We shout her out on tonight because we are celebrating our sister, who is the drama maven extraordinaire. She's the one who dragged us and made us masterful in the dramatic arts. You know, divine revelation artistically ministered through the arts, the drama ministry, the drama maven herself. And baby, she'll pray down heaven. And she will preach your soul free. She is masterful at the restorative practices on whether it be art, literature, poetry, song, dance, whatever it is, our good sis brings it every single time. And I'm so excited that my eyes got to see the day where she was elevated to the position of pastor. So tonight we celebrate you, our dear sister friend, Kiana. Yes, we celebrate you, Kiana, because listen, we all started from the bottom. Now we're here. Listen, I remember when you were just this little young lady coming from Howard University, following the voice of the Lord, and you landed at the Oasis where you found all of us. And you have been a tremendous blessing, not only in the lives of your sister friends, but to everyone who's ever served alongside you. I thank God for the on-time ready word he keeps in your mouth. And I love how he continues to invade your dream to expand your vision. I am excited about the force to be reckoned with that is called ever so eloquently. You are sister Kiana Cox Jones, pastor.
Yes.
Kiana Cox Jones. We celebrate you tonight, and I thank you personally at this moment in time, because I got to give you your flowers, sis. I remember when we started this journey in broadcasting, when I was a little nervous, worrying about what these church folks was going to think about me walking in my true purpose. But you took the time to speak life to me and say, sis, we need you exactly where you are, because we need people in diverse places to spread the love of God. So we celebrate you. We celebrate your husband, Minister James Jones. We celebrate you as well, and your children and your household. May y'all continue to be blessed for generations to come.
Yes.
You got anything to add to that? Because I know she dear to you too.
I mean, listen, that's my little sister, and I got the adoption papers right from her mama, so that part. But super excited. It's so much to say. It's just on time. It's just on time. You know, for
It's
those
all,
of you
and I'm looking forward
who
to the
might be
family
in
reunion.
that part. Listen, I told you I'm packing. That's all I'm
It's
saying.
going to be a family reunion.
That's all I'm
But
saying.
in any event, check it out. We got to let tonight's guest in because, again, we were trained well in the House of Excellence. Shout out to GSC, our faith community, where we all connected many years ago. Look at us, still together now, doing great things in the name of the Lord with our divine giftings.
I know, but you know, today's special guest is a little bit different, right?
Yeah, he is. He's a little
not only is he family, right? I mean family. I mean like prayer, singing, acting, seeing and supporting, right? But he done gone off and started being an actual superstar out in these streets.
He's a star.
He's a star out here in these streets, and so super excited to connect with him. So I think I'm gonna open the door so we can let him in, so everybody else can enjoy in this excitement that we have to be welcoming our special guest. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and do the actual introduction while I press the buttons over here.
Tonight's guest, what is it that he don't do? That's the best way to put it creatively. I remember making this gentleman's acquaintance, this Renaissance man's acquaintance, right there in the choir where he was standing smack dab in front of me singing. The mess out of that tenor boy got some pipes on him. Not only can he act, he can sing. And not only can he act and sing, he could cook too, y'all. He makes one mean cheesecake. It's been a while, but I promise you, all I got to do is think about it, and I could take the buttery goodness in that there crust.
That part, gotta wipe the side off.
I have photographic evidence that I have enjoyed the strawberry cheesecake by Chester. Let him in the room. Let him in the room. Go. This is my dear brother.
You know, all that pre-talk about Goldie in the Mac has bled into this this introduction. I'm feeling like I'm in Oakland at the Sneaky Fox.
Love it.
You want to make it do what it do, baby.
Well, thank you so very much to my sisters in Christ, to that very warm and very humbling introduction. It is a delight to be in your midst again, and thank you again for the overwhelming invitation. I'm quite flattered. Thank you.
You're welcome, Roy. As I made contact with you and asking you to be the guest on tonight's show, I shared with you it was something that you said to me years ago that gave me a bit more tenacity in pursuing what I'm doing here with Unhinged Live and Tilted Halo Broadcast Media Entertainment. You encouraged me in a way where I don't think you really realized. You encouraged me to be bold. And it is that encouragement that I've held on to. And here it is, 2 years later, you know, my LLC is growing strong. And I do have to say thank you publicly, Roy. Thank you for picking up the phone and checking on the sister. Thank you. Thank you for pouring words of encouragement when many like yourself that have gone on to do greater things, you don't always tend to look back. We thank God that you continue to look back and look out for your sisters in Christ to make sure that we're okay. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Well, to God goes all the glory, and by his amazing grace, you're welcome. I'm delighted to know that those words and the moment that he provided has been an inspiration to you in the same way that I can look at words that both of you ladies have shared with me, you know, during our multi-year tenure. I clearly remember being in the choir and God nudging me that it was time to move on to something else. I didn't know what that something else was. And you know, Karen has a nickname. You know, Karen's nickname for me was Sing Better Than the Racket, not record. Sing better than the record, not the DVD, not the MP3, you know, not the sing better than the racket. And I was really taken aback when I shared my decision to move on from the choir, that Karen shared with me that well, we've been praying, for you to paraphrase, to be in tune to where God was leading. I'm like, what? Where'd that come from? And the support for the Cheesecake Venture, just the support in general as a father, as a divorced father who was raising, young kids, Sydney and Jordan, who are now 25 and 22 respectively. You sitting in the front row, as I shared with you the other night, Nikita, one of the plays that I was in, I can't recall. I was blessed to do a number when I lived in the Valley. So it is a mutual admiration society in the same way that you ladies can articulate the different things that I may have done and said for you. Know that you have fed me as well. So thank you.
You muted again, Karen.
This is why you here, to make sure, because I got a story to tell.
Yes, tell that story, sis.
So now I'm gonna be real quick, but about a year ago this time, our brother Roy, this is my brother. I need you to know, like, God puts him on assignment, and he is at least obedient concerning me. I can't tell you what happened concerning you, but concerning me. And Keita, he called me probably about 10 days before my wedding last year.
Right.
And encouraging word, catching up, being Roy, that's all I could say. Him being himself. And he had no idea the actual struggle. Now, Keita, because we was having these conversations about I'm about to go to this altar. Who am I supposed to be? I think I'm supposed to be somebody's wife. Who said this was gonna be? Our conversation just was a reminder. And it was very simple. Roy said, I just called to remind you of who you are and the impact you make. And I wasn't driving, so we were safe from me crashing into something. But I promise you, in that moment, I just was like, Lord, I thank you for the people who you have in our corner who helps God spoil us. Because these were things that I had spoken with a lot of anxiety. And those who know me, I don't really do anxiety well. I just don't do it. It's like, oh, wait, you know what? I'm going to be right back. And y'all ain't going to never see me again. Well, that's the whole story. And those words, as simple as they were, and heartfelt and genuine, were exactly what I needed in that moment to go ahead and rock on myself to, get onto the altar and act like it. Now we are, how many days? We 7 days away from 1 year of marriage.
Wow.
And so this was literally like, I was like, Lord, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I just, and there were a lot of things that I was questioning with the name change and how are we doing this and who's signing up for this? Roy, listen. But I appreciate those words in such a timely manner. And so I shared that with you because I know I said it to you like, oh my goodness, brother, you have no idea what these few words in this moment meant to me, but got me on to the altar. I sort of acted right. That's all I got to say. And not a lot of video. So whatever I say, y'all got to take my word for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And again, to God goes all the glory. And if you're fortunate enough to live long enough and to develop some modicum of spiritual maturity, you know when to deflect. And you just know when it's not about you. So I'm thankful that in that instance, I was obedient because there's clearly was something that God had placed in me to share with you. So to him goes the glory.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Now one thing y'all gonna hear, I promise you, Roy gonna give the glory to God. You ain't gotta worry about that. Don't worry about him taking none of these accolades and stuffing them in his back pocket, because all of it is going straight to God. And that's one of the things that we appreciate about you, Roy, so much. But we know this gonna be like, I promise, like as soon as we heard Roy's coming, this is an exact masterclass. So go ahead on and share this broadcast with your friends. I don't care what nobody say. It's because I know the details of a man who had a dream. Yes. That I'm sure many people, because of age and proximity and maybe socioeconomic, it's like, nah, go ahead and put that down, get you a 9 to 5 and, go ahead and work. at what the world says for you to do.
Right, right.
But we have been blessed to watch a person who stepped out on the impossible. I promise you, every time I get to see you in a TV ad, on a television show, in some type of print, I don't care where I'm seeing you. Right. It is a reminder of God's promise when we connect to his yes. When we connect to his yes. So even us praying for you, it was like, oh no, oh, absolutely, Roy is going. So I remember having a conversation saying, you telling us, I'm moving to Harlem. Of course you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And I got to give a shout out. So I spoke to Ariel today, my oldest granddaughter, and I told her, I'm going to be connecting with my friend Roy. I said, you remember Roy, the one with all the cheesecake? She's like, I do need another cheesecake. And a cheesecake right now. So just to be able to be connected with you and the empowerment that you've been able to give, not just to us, but our families, that we get to say, I know that one right there. I know him. I know and we don't know all of the details.
Yes, yes.
You've been generous with sharing and being transparent with the portions of the journey.
Yes, yes.
And
absolutely.
so, as we get into this, for those of you who don't know, I've said it. He's on commercials and print ads. I'm gonna say a regular. And we pray it all continues on the Saturday Night Live. If you haven't seen him as being a background, but he's also graced many a stage with some good acting. I remember one of the first ones that we saw. It was on one of those murder reenactment shows, and you were like playing somebody who, like a serial killer or something.
Forensic Files,
Forensic Files. Oh my goodness. And my kids, my sons, when I tell you how much of a blessing it had been that I knew I had gone to Shiloh specifically because my family needed to see those positive role models, right? Those positive male role models. And I'm like, Roy's on TV. Now, Roy sang in the choir with my sons, and then I'm telling them Roy's on TV, and they're like, "Yeah, okay." They know I get excited about stuff that probably don't matter to regular people,
right?
But we got to see you, and they were like, "Wait a minute." And I tell you, we talk about the impact that's made when our children see folks who look like them in any type of capacity. Now, of course, they knew you weren't a murderer, but you played it really well. You played it really well.
That's so good.
Listen, very good. So I want to lead us with a question of what helped you birth that acting bug that now has kind of grown. And when I say he's a starer, I mean, you could Google him, you could see him on stuff. You could, what was sort of those initial things that kind of said, I think this is the thing that I want to do. And we're going to work on this craft.
Sure. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. So when I was a child coming into my teen years, people told me that I had a nice voice. And I learned something about people who use their voice to act, doing voiceovers. So that's something that was on the inside of me ever since I was a teenager, right? Preteen into teen years. Before that, almost 50 years ago in 1976, Stevie Wonder released his magnum opus, Songs in the Key of Life.
Yes, my favorite
11
album.
years old. And that was an event. I can't speak for the general population, but I don't know a Black household that did not have or was not trying to get a copy of Songs in the Key of Life. It was an event. It was just a thing to have. And I'd always been enchanted with words and the power of words and the power of storytelling. And truth be told, if my late mother and father knew some of the stories I told coming up, I might have to go get that switch. I spent some summers down south, right? So it was a combination of voiceover, Stevie Wonder's album, and the fact that it came with a booklet that had the lyrics to all the songs. So I Wish, Sir Duke, Pastime Paradise, As, If It's Magic, Black Man, all those, knocks me off my feet. I knew the lyrics to just about all those songs because I would study what he was talking about. And I was always a bit of an old soul. And I was really moved by what he was singing about. Sir Duke was about, it was a tribute to Duke Ellington. I Wish was going back to his childhood and talking about a lot of the things that he did and got away with and how he wished he could go back to that time. So I was just really, it set something in me to just really learn to leverage the power of words and the power of storytelling, particularly if you grew up in an era where folks didn't think that young Black males and young Black women were supposed to be articulate, as if that belonged to a whole nother domain. And I need not address that population because I'm not trying to offend anybody. But it was somehow against type if you could speak the language well. So it was that, and it was really voice acting. Fast forward many years, a company that I was working with for about 5 years came with a brother Real File back in 2001, June 22nd. I'm not trying to, I got over it, but it was June 22nd. They came with a brother Real File. And it really annoyed me. It really shocked me. Jordan was in my ex-wife's belly. Sydney was 2. My older daughter, Adrian, who's 38, was 15, 16 years old, 15. And they just came at me real foul. So we got over that and negotiated a pretty envious, decent severance package, summer 2001. And I said, I got to figure out a way to hire myself because I can't see lending myself to this kind of possibility for the next 30-something years working in corporate. And I already had politely a growing disdain with that life and that environment. So this just helped to exacerbate it, if you will. So I said, I want to pursue what it would take to become a voice actor. I called up a talent agency. I was living in Rockland County, New York at the time, which is where I was before I moved to the Valley back in 2002. And I called up an agency and they said, well, if you want to get into voiceovers, you should take acting lessons. Why don't you come and audit our class? So I go and audit the class and they gave me some sides or some copy and they charged me with the responsibility of acting these words out in front of people. And I was always a bit of a ham. I can be a bit shy, but I was a bit of a ham, a bit expressive. I was hooked. I got to find a way to do this. I got to find a way to use these words to tell stories and to entertain, inspire, inform, motivate people. That was the summer of 2001. Fast forward, 2005, went through a very challenging divorce, was about to turn 40, and I still wanted to pursue this thing. So I called up an agency in Reading, Pennsylvania, went to visit him, the late Randy Donatelli. And he said to me after meeting, hey, look, nice looking guy, I can get you some work, blah, blah, blah. And he said to me, as I close on this portion, he said, never give up. He said, things change on a dime on this business. Stay in contact with me, never give up. Stayed in contact with Randy, went back to corporate, was working for Dun & Bradstreet in Center Valley at the time. And I get a call Wednesday, September 19th from Randy. I see him on my cell phone. What are you doing on Friday? I have a spot for you in a commercial. Not doing anything. Sit tight, I'll get back to you. So that Friday, September 21st, I filmed my very first commercial. If you blink, I was in the choir and I sent the file to the choir in November when I got it. I said, look, don't blink. You're listening. So I was playing a patient undergoing therapy. It was a commercial for Coordinated Health. And that was the start. That was the little seed that God used to bring forth everything that followed. So folks will look at today, and this year has likely, at 59, this year has probably been my best year in the way of bookings relating to network TV, print work, commercials. It's just been awesome. But I say that to say, I don't get to that awesome with that little seed. And there are times when people think, or people will negate the seed and just think you're supposed to have a tree or you're supposed to have a bush. And that may be the journey for some. But for most, you may have to go through some dark spaces, dark places. And there's a visual that I have that says when you're in a dark place, you may think you're forgotten and you're actually planted. So wait for the water, wait for the fertilizer, allow your faith to foster those things and stay on the journey. So my whole point is that one commercial led to another commercial. I was more visible a few months later, and then I got an audition. I was with an agency on Broad Street in Bethlehem. Now, mind you, I started one of the things that I started in addition to the cheesecake business some years later. I started a cleaning service, and I used to clean homes. I used to clean the studio for this agency from 2007 until 2018. I would go there 6 to 8 times a year and clean their studio. When they called me, I thought they were calling to schedule a cleaning. No, we have an audition for you. Okay. They sent it over, worked on it, memorized it, went over at lunchtime, filmed the audition, left it alone. I wasn't calling every day. Did I get it? Did I get it? Faith, right? Although I was feeling it on the inside. Don't let me fool you. I was feeling it on the inside. And they called me and said, well, it's down to you and another person. Then they called me 2 days later. I booked it. It was my first commercial in which I was a principal. And it was for 1-800-J-Law. I was seriously injured in a car accident, right here at this intersection. I had blah, 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 blah. All I needed was to make one call. Ching, and that was my first commercial as a principal. It was a non-union commercial that probably ran from 2008 until at least 2015. And because it was a non-union commercial, there were no residuals. So you get a one-time payment up front. Thank you. And they just run this thing in perpetuity. That gave me the faith that one day booking union commercials that do pay substantial residual income was possible. Because humbly, there was something about this regional spot that they must have liked to run this thing for at least 7 years. So it gave me hope. So those things were important benchmarks in this journey. Storytelling as a child, wanted to become a voice actor. Stevie Wonder did songs in the key of life. The difficulty of navigating through divorce into purpose and having this dual existence of working a corporate job and still pursuing acting, baking cheesecakes and still pursuing acting, cleaning homes and cleaning this office and still pursuing acting. And now it's come to the point where, like I said, on the heels of turning 60 next May 28th, I'm realizing things that were born out of faith and diligence and determination. And I'll close with this. If you have another question, there's a quote from Stephen Covey where he says, it's easy to say no when there's a deeper yes burning on the inside. It's easy to say no when there's a deeper yes burning in the inside. And that yes was, hey, I'm going to pursue this until the wheels fall off. I'm going to pursue this even though the environment is not perfect. We can become immobilized. We can become very stagnant, waiting for the perfect conditions to move. That's not what faith is. So all those things collectively have brought me to this point that humbles me and for which I'm very, very, very thankful. And I'm obligated to share the aspects of this journey that people, you went through that? You were what? Yeah, that was part of it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't all peaches and cream and everything's lined out, laid out. No, you hit some bumps in the road. But you can allow that bump in the road to allow you to trip and fall, or you can allow that bump to, cause you to ascend a little bit. So it can boil down to a matter of how you respond.
That's good stuff.
Thank you.
Amazing stuff. I'm just sitting here grinning. I just want to hear you talk.
Well, You touched on something earlier when I moved back to Harlem, and a lot of people were surprised. And for a number of reasons, when I moved back to Harlem, I was 53, right? And I kept it real close because, our beloved overseer, Pastor Juanita, talks about, you can't share your dream with everybody.
Yeah.
They're dream killers, they're dream stealers, and you have to exercise some semblance of discernment, not paranoia, but some semblance of discernment when it comes to, from my perspective, those things that are really close to your heart. But the story was, at the end of 2017, I knew that, okay, I had done pretty much what I was capable of doing in the Valley. And in order for me to ascend and lend myself to bigger opportunities, it was going to be important to be or have representation in a major market like New York. Emailed an agent, my materials, headshot, resume, yada, yada, yada. And to my surprise and delight, they agreed to meet with me to discuss representation. And it was a good agency here in New York. So didn't have a car at the time. It had been repossessed. Yeah, that silver PT Cruiser. I tried to hide it, but they came and got it. The repo man must be from the projects because he was mad resourceful to find it. Mad resourceful to find it.
Facts.
He was like, anyway, we see you.
Anyway, so I took the bus into the city, had the meeting, went well. They said they would be in touch with me. A week or so went by. I followed up, and they said they decided to pass on representing me. What's the matter? What happened? Is it my look? Is it my skill set? Is it my experience? They said, no, none of that. They said, when she presented it to the team, they were concerned about my ability to get to the city from Allentown. So it's location. Anything else? No. So I started thinking, wow, maybe I should move back to New York. But I knew, having grown up in Harlem, the gentrification that was taking place and just how expensive New York was, that it was going to take something to help a brother find something affordable. So I went to college with a brother who got involved in Harlem real estate early. Kenyatta, can a brother find anything in Harlem less than X? Maybe a studio. But at that point, Sydney and Jordan were older. They weren't coming to see Daddy as much. Cool. And besides, if I'm here in the city, it would be much easier, sans car, to just jump on New Jersey Transit to go see them and jump on Metro North to go see my granddaughter and my older daughter. So by faith, I said, let's find something. Found a studio apartment. Didn't tell many people. If my sister's listening, didn't tell my sister because I love her, but she worried too much. I came into the city, signed the application and everything. Done deal. 5 days before I'm getting ready to move, his leasing person reaches out to me. That apartment we found for you, man. We leased it out to somebody else. We find another place for you. It's bigger. It's a 1 bedroom as opposed to a studio, but it's going to cost this much more money. Oh, time out, brother. I told you I'm on a budget, man. You cannot spring on me 5 days. Keep in mind the number represents grace.
Yes.
5 days before I'm going to move, that you find another place because that's going to affect the fee that I owe you guys for finding. I said, what you guys need to do, the same price that you're going to charge me for that studio, you need to charge me for this 1 bedroom that I'm sitting in now for 6+ years. And that's what they did. So funds being tight, I couldn't afford to come back into the city to walk through the apartment before I moved. So I said, brother, take pictures, send them to me, text them to me. I'll see the place that I move in. That Saturday, Sunday, I move. Mark Robinson, my Q brother, and another brother whose name escapes me at the moment, young brother, maybe it'll come to me later. They helped me move. I get to the city, and I couldn't get into the apartment the following day, but I'm here. I moved here, y'all. I did not have a job. I was working as a substitute teacher in the Allentown School District. And in the last week, Met the last week of the school year. Somebody said, "You want to work this summer?" Yeah, I want to work this summer. So bit bam boom, I applied. So for the first 4 weeks that I was here, and I may have told this in a previous podcast or a previous story, for the first 4 weeks I was here, every Sunday I was throwing stuff in a bag. I was going back to Port Authority. I was taking the bus to Bethlehem. Mark Robinson would pick me up. I was sleeping on his couch. And I also had a part-time job at Target. I'm a hustler. So from Monday to Thursday, from like 8 to 1:30, I was serving as a substitute teacher. And then I was also getting hours at Target. And I did that for the first 4 weeks that I was here. I would come back home like Thursday night, Friday. I would come back home, and I did that. And then I jumped into doing background work. All this, mind you, was with FICO scores all below 500. And we going deep.
Preach. You blessing somebody tonight.
I promise.
FICO scores below 500. And I told this story to Pastor Phil once. I said, you know what kind of credit you get when you got FICO scores below 500? I said, folks, look at your cash funny. Folks are like, but yo, I got, I don't know, man. Who you know? You got collateral, you got cosign. You know what I'm saying? So I did that for 4 weeks, jumped into background work, did background work at about 40 to 45, 50 different shows, non-union, 3, 4, 5 days a week. Call time after call time after call time. Did that for a while. And then eventually I started substitute teaching, but it wasn't until May of the following year, May of 2019, because funds were tight. And I didn't always have the money to pay for the different background tests and things like that I had to do to become a substitute teacher. In the interim was an application for public assistance. We're going deep. In the interim, public assistance. Had to go 25th, sit there, check the attendance, make sure I was here to get my money because they were paying a portion of my rent. See, this ain't about Godfather Harlem right now.
That part.
This ain't about FBI. This ain't about FBI Most Wanted right now. This ain't about the first episode of Raising Canaan Power Book 3. This ain't about that. This is the part of the journey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Thanks.
So through all that, started substitute teaching 2019, May 2nd on my older daughter's birthday. The following summer, COVID hit, but I got a job doing census work after the school year ended. I also had joined the Screen Actors Guild in the interim. Let me tell this story quick. Screen Actors Guild is a major union that represents 160,000 plus actors, journalists, performance. And when you see someone on TV in a speaking role, and even in the background, but when you see someone that's a principal in a commercial, a union commercial, or a network TV, more often than not, they're members of SAG-AFTRA. So I also knew that at some point I needed to join SAG-AFTRA to avail myself to these bigger opportunities. I had gotten a manager who started submitting me for these types of roles. And I had an audition for a doctor on New Amsterdam. So like two words, whatever, but it's still a co-star. Hey, that's where it started. And I got penned, which meant I was one of the finalists. And I was not a member of SAG-AFTRA at the time. So they were asking me, okay, are you going to join? If we hire you, are you going to join? Yes, I'm going to join. Me, mind you, credit scores are like, couldn't get a loan, didn't have the cash. So they moved on to somebody else who was a member of SAG-AFTRA. The silver lining for me was, you know what? I think it's time to join because I auditioned for a SAG-AFTRA role. I was considered. Now's the time. Trying to find the money. I shared that story on Facebook, and one of my former friends, because sometimes, like in the Bible says, you got to shake the dust off when people don't receive you. One of my former friends was making fun of my faith on Facebook. Oh, God's got nothing to do with it. You know, you join or you don't join. Somebody saw that and said, yo, I'd like to help you. I never met dude in my life in person. The fee to join SAG-AFTRA back then was $3,100. He sent me a check for $1,000. Never met dude. He saw my story on Facebook. So SAG-AFTRA had a plan where you could join and then with a down payment of 1/3 the fee and then pay off the balance in 5 months. In the interim is when I got an audition to be the dog owner on the first episode of Power Book 3, Raising Canaan. I was blessed to book that. I learned on Valentine's Day 2020 that I booked that role. And when they checked with SAG-AFTRA to see if I was a member, yeah, I had the down payment. I was already in. So that was my first network TV booking. I got myself to a point where I wanted to pay dude back, sent him a check for half of it. He said, look, I'm not hurting. What if I just rip this check up and forgive the rest? If you just make the commitment to do that for somebody else. And I've been blessed to do that.
Wow.
So and that was my first network co-star role. I've been blessed to have a number since then. It's been an incredible journey that has been undergirded by faith, determination, just doggedness, but faith more so than anything. And again, it has not always been peaches and cream, everything's laid out for you, not by any stretch of the imagination. But it doesn't make me any less thankful to sit in this chair with two dear friends and whoever else is listening and just share this journey. As important for me as any credit that I earn is that, especially Sydney and Jordan as my younger daughter and son, because my older daughter is more established, she's 38. They've been there from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So when I did my first play in 2012, this was a commitment. This is where I really started learning how to act. It was with Touchstone Theater. It was called A Resting Place. It was a commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the Civil War. And it got to the point where I was going to rehearsal like 20 hours a week. This is a part-time job, including weekends. And we would do a full run of the show from like 10 to 1, lunch 1 to 2, another full run of the show from 2 to 5. And in those weekends that Sydney and Jordan were with me, they were troopers. They would come with me. I had to bring them with me to rehearsal. I get up in the morning, fix breakfast. We'd go over to Touchstone and rehearse. And they were at the point where they would entertain themselves with Uno or whatever. And so they've been with me from the very beginning. And I'm thankful that, and I'm hopeful that there's something from my journey that they were a part of that they can adopt for their own and know that faith and diligence and a commitment to excellence and just doggedness, can deliver some good results. So I'm just thankful. And, to be at this stage of my life, and I look at the first 6 months were just crazy. I had the co-star on FBI Most Wanted and a couple of print gigs. And there's an infomercial that should be out this month, if it's not out already, for a company called Total Gym. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Okay. You working out in the commercial?
Yes. As a matter of fact, if you see any Total Gym promos, and they're out there on Facebook a lot, there's like a 15-second promo, and you'll see me twice in that promo, working out on the equipment. Was blessed to film that one back in May at this beautiful house in Bryn Mawr, PA, where I got a chance to see our brother, Dr. McKnight.
Awesome.
Yeah, because he was right there at Haverford College. So as I was leaving, I got a chance to go and catch up with him a little bit. but I'm just thankful for the journey, you know, warts and all, because we can't, in my humble opinion, not to be super theologian by any stretch, we can't profess to embrace what Romans 8:28 says. And when something happens that doesn't seem like it's good, exclude it from that all part that says all things.
All of it.
You know what I'm saying? All, it doesn't say most, every other.
Yeah.
All.
Says, and we know that all things work together for good. So those things that may not seem too good, and it takes some faith to accept that those things ultimately will be for our good. Oh, by the way, FICO's closing in on 800 nowadays.
All right now.
So, you know, we're in the 780s, 790s nowadays. So I've worked diligently. You know, one of the things that I spoke to Pastor Phil about last time we had a chance to break bread. One of the things he said is that he said, you'll never change anything you can tolerate. You'll never change anything you can tolerate. And for many years, I just tolerated that I can't do anything about that situation. But when I got sick and tired of being sick and tired and sat down and put together a plan, things started happening. But I'm just thankful. I know that I'm blessed, and the blessing is not something that's designed to remain within me. I have to share. I'm blessed to have some mentoring relationships with folks who aspire to act, and I try to share the comprehensiveness of my journey so that they understand that if they run into a rough spot, it's not necessarily indicative of a time to give up. It may be a time to press in and really examine your why, you know, really examine your why. So,
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
That's it.
For those of you who are tuned in, you are tuned in to Unhinged Live. And listen, you are actually listening to a master conversation by our very dear friend and brother, Roy Shuler. Notice we ain't stop him.
Nope.
Because there's a purpose in everything that is flowing from the heart of our brother on tonight.
Yeah.
And one thing that as you've been sharing tonight, Roy, you've shared one heck of a timeline.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep up with the years and how they bounced around from your humble beginnings.
Yes.
To your humble right now, because you are one of the most humble people anyone could ever encounter. How many years was it from the start to now exactly?
Well, I found my first commercial. Well, as far as the actual application, I filmed my first commercial in 2007.
I'm like 2007.
2007. So we're talking 17 years later.
Yeah.
17. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah. Yeah.
17 years later. And you've already said it, Roy.
Yeah.
You know, you may run into some bumps and some loops, dips, ducks, dives. You got to do some things and get your matrix on to keep going, but don't stop. 17 years for you to walk in this level of authority in your faith.
Yes.
With what it is you desire to do in the craft.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful that you shared that because I actually took the time to tag someone who needed to hear everything that you said on tonight, because I actually shared with her earlier today. Again, something you said to me.
Right.
She's a creative artist.
Yes.
And she was sharing that she, don't say nothing if you see me stocking shelves at the shop, right? And I shared with her, I said, baby, I work a full-time job and I work part-time at a grocery store to fund my dream until my dream funds me. Now, thankfully, I have my goal coach sitting right here on the platform with me. We sat down and we wrote out a whole plan when my vision began to manifest. And here it is. How many years later?
17.
17 years later. Don't begrudge the long way to Walmart, y'all. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Don't begrudge the long journey. If you've been listening to the show, you'll often hear me say, I don't run anywhere, I walk, because I've come to learn, especially in the creative arts, this life is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
That's right. That's right.
And if you are rushing towards your goal, towards your dream, towards your vision, I promise you're going to overlook something that might take you out the game if you're not careful. So I like the 17 years.
Yeah. I mean, I
There's
was a lift.
power in the weight.
I was a Lyft driver. I mean, I used to give out the food samples. I think it was in Sam's Club, wherever it was. And I remember one day, Leslie Coleman and her daughter and her mom came in. Yo, I'm working.
I know that's right.
I had a paper route delivering the Express Times for like 7 months. You know, so there's a lot. There's a lot to it. Thomas Edison says something along the lines that, you know, there are times where people will miss out on opportunities because it shows up dressed in overalls looking like hard work.
Woo.
You know, it is what it is.
But it's worth it. It's all worth it.
It's so worth it. It has been so worth it.
Me needing a nap even today, not sure if I'd be coherent to even have this conversation or to host this broadcast on tonight.
Yeah.
Is it worth the sacrifice of sleep for me? Yes.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
Because I have TV goals myself.
Right.
Not necessarily in front of the camera, but behind as well.
Yes.
I have goals.
Yes.
And as you said ever so eloquently, Roy, I'm a hustler too.
You know.
Okay. And I think I got part of my hustle again, as you were encouraging me with the words I shared previously. You encouraged my hustle as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I gotta work. You had a part-time job. I remember having the conversation with you when you shared, I got a part-time job. I said, oh, he got a part-time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not strange because people were trying to make me look like something was wrong. Like, why are you doing all that? No. I got a vision. I got a passion for my vision that can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah.
So until the vision manifests.
That's right. I would go from substitute teaching to taking the bus and getting off at the Target on Airport Road. And I would walk there. And because I'm mad thrifty, there were days I just refused to spend $7, $8 to go from Target to my apartment. So I would walk across Airport Road behind the Giant to take the shortcut to get to my apartment. It was in Allentown, but it was close to like Catasauqua, Bethlehem, on Pinehurst Court, behind the Giant over there. I would walk sometimes. Sometimes a coworker would give me a lift. Sometimes it wasn't available, so I would walk. Unless it was mad cold or snowing, I might call the lift. But other than that, I would just walk home because I would get off sometimes at 10:30, 11 o'clock. And that was just the deal. So, you know, there's a lot of story to the glory. And it's important for folks to understand that that's just a part of it. You know, it's a part of the journey. And it's a part that's worth embracing. It's a part that's worth celebrating because it builds, in my opinion, it builds a certain character that may be difficult to get in other ways. Denzel Washington said something along the lines. He said, to paraphrase, he said, sometimes success can be more of a deterrent to. Yes, I said easiness can be more of a deterrent to success than adversity. Something along those lines.
Right.
That if you grow accustomed, I'm going to see if I can find it very quickly. If you grow accustomed to things just being handed to you, you may not develop the mettle, you know, that's required when things get tough. You know,
that's good.
But that's the basic message of what it is. Oh, here it is. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. So keep moving, keep growing, keep learning. Ease is a greater threat to progress than a hardship. Sometimes adversity is what it is we need to develop those muscles, to develop that mettle, if you will, to keep on going. You know?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes, indeed.
You know?
And listen, I can attest to that because I could sit here and share story upon story of I've had the laptop die in the middle of a broadcast, but knowing I have a tablet and 2 extra phones. Woo-hoo, we had a
Right.
whole setup going. There was
Yes.
no stopping the vision
Right.
until the I was able to purchase an upgraded laptop.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, I'm even looking to do some upgrades now.
Right.
But again, that hustle matters. You can't
Yep.
give up.
That's right. That's right.
And you know, your ability to keep going has actually gotten you a nomination. You too are nominated for
Yes,
an
thank you.
InnaStar Trailblazer Award.
Yes. Yes.
Now, can I ask you how you felt when you received the notification that you'd been nominated?
I felt thankful, and I certainly felt humbled by it. But at the same time, and this does not nullify that good feeling. I do what I do to be an effective storyteller. I want to be an actor that directors love to work with, that other actors like to work with, that agents and managers love to represent, that casting directors have no problems inviting into audition. And if that manifests into some sort of recognition in the way of a nomination or award, cool. But it starts with that as the intention. You know what I'm saying? So while the nomination, I certainly accept and I'm flattered by it, if it never came or if an award never comes, it's not going to change my approach towards what it is I do, whether it's an audition, whether it's my time on set, whether I'm serving as someone else's reader for their audition. I want to bring excellence to what it is I do across the board, because I believe that excellence creates opportunity. So I'm thankful for the nomination. But I had a guy who I've known for a long time, and I'm pointing out the door because we met in front of my apartment building one day. And he said to me, "Yo, you want to be a star?" And I'm like, I pretty much gave him the same answer. I said, look, I want to be an actor that's in demand. I want to be an actor I want to be an excellent actor, one who's trusted, one who's an effective storyteller. And his response was, well, I want to be a star. Do you play it? You know, whatever floats your boat. That's not my intention. That whole notion of stardom is, okay, do you? I want to be effective. I want to be able to go to a set and have other actors know, and the director know, and everybody on set know this dude came prepared. He's a good listener. He has talent. He's about, getting this done and having fun. Can I share a quick story?
You sure can.
Listen, I was blessed back sometime in the summer. I had an audition for a role on Godfather of Harlem. And I was blessed to book it, right? So I get to set, and Godfather of Harlem is intentional about having a good representation of minorities on set, actors, crew, and the whole nine. So I'm playing this character, and the director was so cool. His name is Rob Greenlee, and I'm in a scene with 2 of the principal actors from Godfather of Harlem. Chance and Pettigrew, if you've seen the show, right?
Yes.
I'm in this scene, right? And the director says, Can we do one for blank and giggles, the phrase.
Yes.
Yeah, so he just took whatever constraints may have been self-imposed or may have been placed and just went for it. And just bam, had so much fun. And he was like, what's wrong with it? Anything? And I think that's the take we're going to end up using, right? I had so much fun. He comes over to me, says, look, he says, for whatever reason, the guy who runs the show, Chris Brancato, is the showrunner, the creator of Godfather of Harlem. He was watching what we were doing that day for whatever reason. And he said he made sure to tell me, the director, to come to you and tell this dude, all praise to God, that he is killing it, this character. of course, me, Michael Jackson music, She's Out of My Life, tears coming down off the wall, all that stuff. And I had so much fun on set. About a month later, I get an email from my agent, the agent that submitted me, with whom I booked the role. They wanted to do a reshoot of the scene. I'm like, what happened? Reshoot? Is he available on Thursday? Yeah, I'm available. So I go in and we do a reshoot. And I see the same director, and I'm trying to figure out why we're doing the reshoot. He said, man, I told you that you were killing this, and it came from the showrunner. And originally, I think I can say this. Originally, something was going to happen to my character. Now they decided, because they liked my interpretation so much, all praise to God, that was not going to happen to my character.
Awesome.
So that's why we did the reshoot. Now, it's no guarantee that I'll appear in future episodes because of the reshoot, but it opens the door.
Absolutely.
Because it was certain the first time that I was not coming back. Read between the lines, right? So just, what the point I'm trying to make is this combination of being ultra prepared and ultra confident, but at the same time, relaxed and humble, right? And finding that midpoint so that you're ready to go and you're confident in your preparation, but not so much that someone can't reel you in and redirect you, right, to something else that's better for the greater good. It's finding that special point. And I tell you, we had so much fun on set both times, and I cannot wait to see, when the episode airs. Bless
me either. Now I got to make sure I got all the subscriptions paid for, and we're gonna have to review that on our Merrily Down the Stream. That's all I'm gonna say on that one there. I want to say how timely this conversation has been. I had the distinct pleasure of spending some time with my oldest grandchild today. Mm-hmm. A lot of those me moments,
yes,
where you get to pour the nuggets into the next generation. Right. I guess second one, or all of the things, and we have a conversation, and we got Uncle Josh in the mix, and I start talking to her, and he mentions to me, she's saying the same thing that she said to me, right?
Okay, right.
You thinking yeah, that's a thing. Mm-hmm. He said the difference is I didn't listen to everything that Mom said, so he's telling niece, listen to what Mimi said, and so. I share that as an opportunity because Ariel is 17. You've been doing this for 17 years. Right. She is in her senior year of school, and we're talking to her about the same thing that tilted what you said. Get that W-2 so that it can fund your dream until your dream can fund the rest of your lifestyle. But how powerful it is to not only learn the lessons, but be able to share the lessons. Yes. And then also knowing how the lessons have shaped your right now and how it's shaping your future. So such a powerful message. We got to say thank you for being such an amazing storyteller. I know Tilted and I are in awe, and we let them talk. Yes, we are, because
just let it go, let it roll.
Lives are being changed. We often think that the blueprint comes in one size, right? Yes. Blueprint does not come in one size, because some of the things that other people said you need to do ... And because of the strength of your faith, God protected you in areas where other people may have crazy stories, or maybe it didn't end in the way that they were hopeful for, but that leaning on your faith and knowing, that discernment and building up that maturity, that is like that superpower to the dream that supercharge it in a way. Yeah, secular folks, they make it too. But we always want to be thinking about at what cost,
Yes.
And I know Tilted and I have had conversations, and she I'm not giving up nothing to get to where I need to go.
Ain't
And so
right.
so
That's right. That's
we
right.
give all glory to God. The Holy Spirit is welcome in this space, on
Yes.
this platform. We may actually have church giving the unction. Don't start with me.
You know what? I wish we had more time because I wanted to include something about the Mr. Earl experience, and that'll have to. We'll have to.
We got time.
All right.
You look. We
our
let you.
show.
This you.
Well, listen. All right. So listen. So it's been my dream to book national commercials for years. I remember when I was dating the lovely Affy. Was it Affy Mitchell now? When I was dating Affy years ago, and we talked about being specific about dreams, right? And I got this audition earlier this year, and I knew from the onset that it was something big because we had to sign a non-disclosure agreement at the audition phase. And it just said major sports brand. And it also came from the ad agency. Like I said, I'm from the projects, I'm resourceful. Let me find out who the ad agency is and what kind of work they've done. Looked at the ad agency, they're the ones who came up with Just Do It. Okay, so this is a Nike spot. But I had to put that in its own silo. Because going back to something I was saying before, if you strive to operate, and Steve Martin says it this way, be so good that they can't ignore you.
Mm-hmm.
It's another way of saying just pursue excellence. And I believe, and I think we all believe collectively, that excellence has its own rewards. It's like the cream rises to the top. Excellence is going to produce something. So I said, okay, it's Nike. I'm not going to feel as though I have to be extra or got to do this. I'm going to dot my I's and cross my T's. If this was New Balance, if it was Armour, if it was Converse, whoever, Nike put a little something special to it. But I wanted to make sure that I was operating in excellence. So auditioned for a bunch of stuff. Then they said, okay. They sent it back. We'd like to see this janitor. We'd like to see it with a comedic slant. Okay. Put some comedy in it. Then we had the virtual audition. Right here in my apartment, using this as my backdrop with the picture down. We get to the virtual audition, you had to be let into the room. And the person who was regulating traffic said, okay, I need to have everybody say their lines out here because I'm letting people into this virtual room and people don't know their lines. Now, when that light goes on, something can happen where you can be ultra prepared and all of a sudden, you Ralph Cramden on the $99,000, whatever. So repeated my lines, audition. I thought it went well. I thought there's some things I could have done differently. And you try to read when you're on audition, okay, I'm trying to read body language or whatever. It's done. Okay, it's done. Forget about it. Move on. I think that night I got an availability check, either that night or the next night. And on 10:30, that Thursday night, I was getting ready to go to Jordan's graduation. I think that night or whenever, I learned that I booked the role. So Thursday, I got the email. Next Tuesday morning, I'm in a flight going to Charleston because that's where we filmed the commercial. And there's a point to this. I get down there for the fitting one day. I'm trying on janitor uniforms. And I tried on one that was bluish, one that was greenish. They would make the decision the following day. I get to set the next day and I see the storyboard. And I had no idea, and here's why I'm closing on this. I had no idea, and I'm glad that I didn't from the onset, that not only was this a 60-second commercial, but it was being told from my character's perspective. Y'all giving me the invitation like to act up, act out? And then the director, in his brilliance, we sat down and he asked me how I got started acting. And I told him the same story about the songs in the key of life and blah, 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 blah. What music do I hear a few minutes later? He's playing songs from songs in the key of life to create a certain energy and to create a certain environment designed to make me feel like really comfortable just to let loose. So I let loose. And when I first saw the commercial, I watched it at my brother-in-law and my sister's apartment because I don't have live TV here. I just have like Hulu, Netflix, stuff like that. I was like, wow. So again, the byproduct of faith, the byproducts of sacrifice, the byproducts of belief and pursuing excellence, I believe, have their own rewards. I'm thankful, Mr. Earl.
And we are thankful for you, Roy,
Thankful.
and for the blessed opportunity you were presented to bring Mr. Earl to life.
Thank you.
I don't want to violate anything, but I would love to have the opportunity to play that commercial for our viewers on tonight. You know, I didn't do that in the format, but I'm like, am I going to infringe on something? I don't want to.
No, you're good. You're absolutely good.
So listen, I know what happened to me when I first viewed this commercial. And I know y'all see this Cheshire Cat grin over here now. Imagine it 3 times wider.
Right.
My heart was filled with so much joy because, as we've stated previously, we know the journey.
Yes.
Not all of it.
Yes.
But we know enough.
Yeah.
To feel that feel with you, brother. Listen, Coach Cash, I gotta put you to work. It's impromptu. But for those who did not know, you know, because every time somebody plays a janitor, it's not necessarily a negative thing. This thing here is gonna bring you some joy and bring a chuckle up out your soul. So I got to toss this hat. Go toss it to you, Karen. Can you push play on that for me, please?
Listen, I got you over here. You know, sometimes I gotta hit this mute button, so make sure nothing don't necessarily make noise. It ain't supposed to make noise, but for this purpose, you know, usually I got on my DJ hat right now, Brother Roy, and so tonight are excited to share this with you. So when we talk about culmination of a dream, a national commercial, y'all don't even know the noise. Okay, that was made not just the first time we watched it, because you know we watched it more than once. So this one has been on repeat on a while. So listen, we're gonna share the screen. We're gonna get over here. The WNBA janitor is what those folks over there at the plate, you know, they don't say it. If they come over here, we'll say all of the swoop words that we need to. So I'm just gonna press play on this and let it do what it do. Here we go.
I worked there 27 years. I ain't seen nothing like this before. Oh, is there such a thing as too much basketball? It's a triple double my workload. That's not what I signed up for. Asia wins back-to-back chips. All I get is back-to-back shifts. Jules scored 28 yesterday. That's what this is.
Jules drains another 3.
And don't get me started on these.
Can you believe it?
Y'all say it's a good time for women's basketball. I say it's a bad time for Mr. Earl. Real bad.
Love it, love it, love it.
That was such a special.
You know, we gotta clap that up. Yeah, clap it up for that one. It's a blessing.
Indeed, it was. There were folks from the ad agency, Wyden and Plus Kennedy. They're based out in the Pacific Northwest, and folks from Nike. So it was just an amazing day. I'll never forget. I'm so very, very thankful. Hey, God goes glory. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and one other thing on that, I mentioned before during the fitting, they had me try on a bluish uniform and a greenish uniform. That greenish uniform I chose because it reminded me of my late father, because he was in maintenance at a hospital here in Manhattan, and that was the color of his uniform. So the director actually asked me, which one would you prefer? I said, I want to wear the green one because it reminds me of my father. So there was clearly some of him in that interpretation.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You were taking notes.
Yes. Yes, indeed. indeed.
So thank you so much for all that you've shared tonight, Roy.
Yes.
We got a little bit of time left in the show, and we do have a few things written down.
Okay.
I wanted to go ahead and acknowledge and just ask our viewers and our listeners to join in with us as we continue to pray and do what we can to support those in our country that have recently experienced the devastation of Hurricane Helene. We see that there's been some catastrophic flooding in many areas. Many people have lost their homes. Many people absolutely just don't know what they're going to do to rebuild their lives, as this is a first time experience for so many of them. So we're asking, please, ma'am, please, sir, those of you who can, if you would like to support the relief efforts that are going on with our brothers and sisters down in the southern region of the Midwestern portion of our country, do your best to connect with a reputable agency. Do your diligence because every GoFundMe ain't for them. Connect with a reputable company or organization to donate. Pray for the first responders that have gone out in caravans to help out. Pray for the families who've lost loved ones in this situation. There is so much that's really going on here in our country. We would be amiss if we did not, lift these people up in prayer. I know a good friend of ours, our sister Massey Williams, and her husband are down there, and she's been checking in periodically online, keeping the faith, saying that they're okay, and I'm grateful that they are okay through this time in their lives. Continue to pray, y'all, because there's a whole lot going on. Not only are we seeing what's happened with the hurricane, we just started a longshoreman strike, y'all. And I know my phone was ablaze yesterday with so many messages coming through, encouraging me to hit the grocery store and stock up on everything that I think I might need, because they're anticipating that this strike is going to cause an import shortage, because that's what the longshoremen do. Well, I believe I've read and come to understand that this is all about that dollar bill, y'all. They're looking for a pay increase. And they're also striking against automation as well. We've had conversations in the past about how AI is being implemented in so many ways. So think about those career longshoremen, those who've done this work generationally, that are looking at job loss possibly, because again, there's automation on the scene. So please, ma'am, please, sir, if you haven't gone to the grocery store, I'm going to ask you this. Please leave some toilet paper for somebody else.
That part, I'm still trying to figure out what they did with it from 2020. What y'all do with all the paper?
Please leave some toilet paper for somebody else. Unless, you're going to be the one handing it out like it's trick or treat. Okay.
That's
hopefully the powers that be in the unions can come together and come to a solution. Everybody's striking. I know we threatened even to strike as the Communication Workers of America as we marched for a fair contract earlier this year. We got a contract. I won't necessarily say if it was fair or not, because I like my job, but and I enjoy the work that I do. But we did meet with some level of success, and using your voice collectively has power. Necessary. I'm a believer in that. And I was, grateful to have been one to help lead the charge in addressing administration when we said what needed to be said during contract negotiations. October is a get it done busy month because it's also breast cancer awareness month, y'all.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And listen, I'm a survivor. I'm not going to give up. Listen, I am a survivor. So y'all know I'm going to bring that up. And I'm grateful for the information that I've gained through my my continued healing journey. Thank God I'm cancer free. But for the next 4 years, I'm subject to poking and pinching and prodding and follow-ups just to make sure I continue to receive the all clear with these several doctors. So this isn't a journey that is just for women. Men also suffer from instances of breast cancer. All right. So please make sure you're doing what you need to do. Doing your self checks at home, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I know it might be difficult, for some of us to do it. Look, one of my friends who was diagnosed, her husband found the lump. And ultimately, though she had to go through some extreme treatment, she's still here today. Shout out to my girlfriend, Melissa. My girl, Melissa, she was an encouragement to me when I got my diagnosis, and she made sure she checked on me. Amen. So those of us who are survivors, we are like a network now. We checking on each other. We making sure that we're sharing the information. And that's, yes, Karen, as you knew, when I received the diagnosis, and I just praised God for it and made people think I was crazy. I knew he was trusting me with the testimony. Yes. Now I have this information, and I've been grateful to share and even refer people to my surgeon. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to just be a light in somebody else's path, giving them direction, where to go to get what needs to be got.
Yeah, and I want to speak as a supporter. Some of us, we talk about allyship in a whole bunch of other areas, but even in this area, when folks are facing different diagnoses, we want to make sure that we're still bringing positivity into the conversation, that we are bringing light and love to the conversation. Why? Because sometimes that report causes doom and gloom to seem like it's overtaking the room. But if you are a friend of somebody who found a lump, got squashed, and needed deeper analyzation, make sure that you are standing in the gap in a positive way. As you can imagine, for many people, the reports might send them running, and everybody is not running to the altar. Everybody is not shouting about what they know God will use them for. But we can be a light, we can be love, we can be share reminders with those who are closest to us, so that they don't ignore the signs, because it's never too early, nor is it never too late to make sure you're getting your screenings. But be supportive to the folks around you. I remember the call that I got when my sister friend called me to say this, what they had said. The first thing was, say what now? And the second thing was, Lord, we give you glory. Lord, we give you thanks, because you need those people in your corner to be able. And so I'm blessed to have been able to be one of those folks standing in I can't even say standing in the gap, standing alongside my sister as she was going through her journey. And not only are we pleased with God's covering and healing in her life, we're standing in the gap for all of you the same way, to make sure that you understand we are here for all of the laugh, the giggles, the joys, and the tsunamis of the joy. We stand on business when it comes to being able to support each other in real life. And we love the opportunity to do the same for you. So,
oh yes,
a lot going on.
Listen, I thank God for my spiritual ninjas. I promise you. Because y'all already know I got extra shady. I stay shady on a regular basis more often than not.
Not the fan of shade.
I had to make the investment. I had to do it. Y'all know I throw more shade than an oak tree most days. All right. So why not represent it? You all are tuned in to Unhinged Live. I'm your host, Halo, Nikita Hansford, also InnaStar nominated for this here show, the production of the Unhinged Live broadcast. And I'm sitting alongside my good girlfriend, Karen Sims Harrell of Twisted Threads LLC. We would call her Coach Cass these days, since she jumped her broom. She's 7 days out for the 1 year anniversary. And what was Brother Jim saying? I saw something that I believe needs to be read. My dad was diagnosed in 2009. and found out early and is still living. His wife found out, fought 10 years, and she didn't necessarily win the physical battle. I believe something is telling me that something else happened in this journey, but she transitioned in April of 2022. So thank you for sharing, Jim, especially about your dad. You know, again, men, do your self checks. It can happen to you as well. Don't think that some of these things that happen to us medically are singular to male or female. It's all of us and none of us in a lot of these situations, y'all. So thank you, Jim, for sharing. So
I'm
look,
glad to see Jim on there. And I promise you, when we started talking about men, I remember your father, Jim, was one of our brothers that in the faith and at our local church community with Greater Shiloh. But Jim was also a neighbor of mine. So shout out, Jim.
hey, thank you for tuning in, Jim.
Yes, appreciate you.
But I gotta get. I'm looking at the time. I'm looking at the time, and we gotta get to it. Where's my fork and my knife and my good plate? This gonna have to come in slushy form because all I got today on my desk is a nice red cup. So get ready, y'all. Get ready. As our very own certified master in-house life coach, she's ready to pour, y'all. She's gonna pour today. She is going to pour some powerful words of encouragement with her reflections of purpose. Excuse me, I almost called you out your name, Coach Cash.
Yes. All right, I'm going to answer. Listen, y'all know I always come with a title, and I promise you tonight this has been such a culmination that I had to go with it. I'm always over here like, all right, Lord, what you want the people to know? Tonight's title is Embrace the Necessary. A lot of us have the opportunity we just got off into the fall season, right? So we had the summer, and whether you had a hot girl summer or a hot boy summer, or it was nobody asked no questions during my segment. What she doing? I'm about to go Kim Burrell on her. Anyway, listen. We have to embrace the necessary because now, when we dwindle down from the summer back into the school season, many of you change your lifestyle on when you go into bed, when you wake up, what are the things you eat? We don't always eat the rightest things during the summer, but we know when we are about to get in position, we've got to embrace the necessary changes that come to put us in alignment for the win. As our brother Roy shared, it may not be easy. It may take longer than we wanted to. Some of us, I say me, don't always know how to accept a no. Sometimes my husband actually tells me no, and then I go straight to the Lord about it because it's like, I know you ain't sending this man. Okay, that's a whole nother story. However, we got to understand that is part of embracing the necessary, because as we are leading and being led and following the journey that God has placed for us, some of us got the entire blueprint, and sometimes that makes us extra excited. And we forget that there are checkpoints along the way. But as we embrace the necessary, God is able to impart into us the maturity, the discernment, the things that we need to know so that we don't have to do so many trip ups. So are you going to have some trip ups? Maybe. I'm going to go on and say probably. But those trip ups don't have to take you out. They can be learning opportunities for you to build on, to grow on, and make sure that as you're embracing the necessary, the rest of the stuff that flows on, those trickle things that go around, the icing on the cake, the cherry on top of the sundae, they come along as you continue on the ride. But we want to remind you tonight, why? Because I'm here for the cake. I tell y'all that every week. We can't get to the cake until you complete the necessary steps to get to the win. So we want to remind you, embrace the necessary. Why? Because the win is just ahead. Tilted. That's your slushy for this evening.
That's my slushy for this evening.
That's your slushy.
I'll take that.
All right.
I'll take that. Very on time, powerful words. Thank you so much, Coach. We appreciate you, and I'm gonna make it even personal. I appreciate you. So listen, we got to wrap it up. We are at the end of tonight's show, but I would like to again take the time to say thank you, Roy, for joining us. And before we go ahead and, tap out, can you share with our viewers how they can connect with you to possibly book you for a voiceover work or even speaking engagements, because you are an inspirational speaker?
Thank you very much. I appreciate that invitation as well. Just revamped my website a few months ago. I'm going to make a few more changes, but I like where it is now. You can find me at royshuler.com. That's ROYSHULER.com. I'm going to put it in the chat now, but royshuler.com is the best way to reach me. Oh, I misspelled my own name. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Okay, and I got glasses on. Okay, let's fix that. Okay.
We appreciate it.
Okay. Now it says the comment has failed to post. I don't know why.
Well,
But
I'm gonna go over here.
Yeah, if somebody else could. Well, good, because I'm glad my error is not in there multiplied several times.
That's that spirit of excellence that rests on us all.
Exactly. It's my name at Roy Shuler. It's my name at myname.com. Wonderful. There you go.
There you go. There you go. So listen, I got to do that Just Be outro, don't I?
Come on, do it.
And with so much inspiration and positivity being poured out on tonight, all I could think was of this scripture that just bubbled up. So I'm going to take it a different direction. You never know what direction I'm going to go. Get your passports out and keep them ready at the Unhinged live show. And thank you for joining us, to all of our replay viewers. But the scripture that came to mind was 1 Corinthians 15:58, as I like to stay in the theme of Just Be. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord.
That's right.
Just be, y'all.
Yeah.
This is Unhinged Live. And it's the wrap. This is the end of the show. We're going to see y'all with something special on next week. Keep your eyes out. We got a giveaway. Until next time. Peace.
Thanks, everybody.